Hello everyone. Today Devin and I will explore the impacts US policies have on the human capabilities in South America. We will focus on how the policies have shaped the economic, political, and social realities of the people, often leading to restriction of freedoms and/or opportunities. We will define this lack of freedom and/or opportunities as a lack of capabilities. However, before we dig too deep into the impacts US policies have had, let's further examine what capabilities truly are.
Before we go any further into our presentation, we are going to show firsthand accounts of people in El Salvador that are dealing with poverty and unemployment.
Ya dejar de comer ya frijoles y ver, pero aquí a veces se comen y a veces no. Días uno come, días no come. Y hay veces que uno no, ya no alcanza para uno, pues ya uno ya se queda con las ganas de comer, no come. A él, cuando puedo, le doy su vasito de leche, le doy su juguito, cuando hay, pero cuando no hay, ni modo, le tocó café si hay, y si no, para agüita. Para definir la pobreza, primeramente, yo diría que lo primero y lo básico es donde estamos, donde vivimos, que no es propio. Bien limitados a 10 metros cuadrados y ahí estamos. Y 10 metros cuadrados simplemente sirve para una vivienda e incluso hasta para que jueguen nuestros hijos adentro de la casa juegan, porque ¿de dónde espacio? Le meten agua, pero ¿qué? Mira, ahí están chiflando. Y poquito, ellos también, pero se llenan la laguna. Ahí adentro se mete también. Nada, porque como aquí no hay, si uno va, lo más que sale aquí mismo, uno no sale, sí, al monte, trae su madre, trae leña, esa es la diversión de las personas aquí. Quisiera salir con mi familia todos los fines de semana, pero
In order to understand how United States foreign policy may limit capabilities, we first must understand what capabilities are. According to the philosopher Martha Nussbaum, capabilities describe the freedom someone has to possess in order to live a dignified life. As we can see in the image, fundamental things such as bodily health and emotion, Nussbaum argues, should be enjoyed by everyone. People should have the right to exercise these freedoms in their everyday normal lives. But when foreign policies limit these capabilities, whether it is through economic means, political intervention, or as a security precaution, entire populations lose the ability to live their dignified lives. Now that we have created a foundation of what capabilities are, we can begin to explore how US policies possibly affect these capabilities. As we discussed earlier, the effects of US policies are not just felt at the national level, but by real everyday people. US policies, which shape much of life in these countries, have led to widespread harm. Some ways these harms are being seen are through indigenous communities who often lose land and important resources as US backed industries take advantage extracting oil, minerals, and timber. Another example is when workers struggle under trade deals like CAFTADR, which favor multinational corporations over local businesses, driving wages down and leading to poor working conditions. This lack of capabilities occurred because, as Stuart W. Fisher in The Human Rights in El Salvador and U.S. Foreign Policies explained, the United States prioritizes military aid and often only supports the elite class, leaving limited access to the working class in things like education and healthcare, extremely limiting their fundamental capabilities.
Next, we will be discussing poverty rates. In El Salvador, the poverty rate, which is measured as people making less than $6.85 a day, is 27.5% of individuals. This contrasts with the percentage of people in the top 20% of the population in El Salvador who hold 44.8% of the income. This also relates to the Human Capital Index of 0.55. The Human Capital Index calculates the contributions of health and education to worker productivity. The final index score ranges from 0 to 1 and measures the productivity as a future worker of children born today relative to the benchmark of full health and complete education. Next, we will discuss learning poverty rates. It is measured by the percentage of children ages 10 through 14. Learning poverty rates is being unable to read and understand a simple text by age 10. The indicator combines the share of primary-age children out of school who are schooling deprived and the share of pupils below a minimum proficiency in reading who are learning deprived. Now, as you can see from this graph, females are at a 72.8% learning poverty rate, and males are at 72.4%. And in addition to this, school completion rate is at 82.7% for elementary school and 69% for high school. This is measured by the percentage of total population of the same age group. And this percentage of individuals who are 3 to 5 years old for elementary school that are not completing the last grade of elementary school, and then likewise for high school not completing the entirety of their schooling. Discuss the unemployment rates. The unemployment rate in El Salvador decreased by 0.2% compared to the previous year. This marks the lowest unemployment rate during the observed period. The unemployment rate refers to the share of economically active population currently without work but in search of employment. The unemployment rate does not include economically active persons such as the long-term unemployed, children, or retirees. And if you are looking at the graph, you can see that the unemployment rate as of 2023 is currently at 2.76%. This goes to show that while people are looking for work and there aren't as many unemployed as there could be in other countries, they are still being paid so little that those that are employed are not able to have or sustain a healthy living. We'll discuss current health expenditures, and this is measured by the percentage of GDP or gross domestic product. The percentage of current expenditure in public health calculated as a share of GDP. And as you can see from the graph, the health expenditure for the world as a whole is 10.4%, while El Salvador is at a 9.7% of their GDP. In conclusion, as a result of these poverty rates, learning rates, unemployment rates, and health expenditures, we can see in what ways El Salvadorians are being affected and how their life is being negatively influenced. And into our next project, we will discuss further what policies through the United States on El Salvador are causing the issues and circumstances that they are facing today.